All right, dude, we are live. What's up, guys? This is Dem Keys, and today we are going to continue. Actually, no, we're not going to continue. Today we are. Sorry, I'm just used to saying today we're going to continue doing so and so thing, but no. Today we are gonna take a slight detour. I was kind of torn between whether I wanted to continue learning Godot with Rust or if I wanted to continue working on the content pipeline. And so I decided to just work on the content pipeline, more so yapping about the content pipeline because I made a bit of progress. By the way, okay, before we get into that, um, I want to talk about something that I discovered yesterday. So apparently there's a repo online. Not apparently, there is. uh, Why was I saying apparently? Anyways, okay. I guess I'm just used to saying that. Okay, so there is a repo online. It's sort of a community effort. This repo is called TLDR, and the whole idea behind this repo is that it contains markdown files for for some of the most widely used tools out there, generally CLI tools. So if you are if you use CLI tools a lot, like if you use the terminal a lot, and you find yourself often looking at man pages. Man pages, for those of you who don't use Linux, it's basically a little help database kind of thing. Often the most widely used tools, in fact, tools that come, well, not just tools that are not just tools that come installed with Linux, but also a lot of yeah, I guess I can stick with widely used tools. Often, a lot of the most widely used CLI tools on Linux will have a man page. So generally, if you're looking for help with something like, let's say, I wanna find out. So okay, ls is how we list out contents of a directory, right? The directory we are currently in, or we can also give it like a specific path, and then it gives us, the result based on that. But if we wanted to learn exactly how ls, or if we wanted to get a nice manual page, man generally stands for manual. If we wanted to get a nice manual page, some documentation on ls, we can do man ls, and then we get this. So it opens up a pager, and there's the entire um, man page entry for that specific tool. And just like this entry, there's a bunch of different entries. The issue here is that this is a very long this is a very long page, and this is still like what you see how quickly I got to the end here. This shows like what 234 lines. There's much longer man pages. Like, let me try. I can't think off the top of my head. Let's see this. Yeah, okay. SSH is a pretty long, like, look at how long this page is. And it's because it's a very sophisticated tool, right? It's not a very simple tool. It does a bunch of things. It has a bunch of functionality in it. It has a bunch of different types of parameters that it can accept, and based on the parameters that you give it, it's going to behave differently. Another very good example of a massive man page is FFmpeg. How did I get the... Oh, I missed the M. There we go. For a second, I was confused because I could have sworn that I'd seen the man page for it. But yeah, okay. So because this is the FFmpeg is an incredibly sophisticated tool. I cannot even like overstate how sophisticated this tool is. Behind this command line interface, we have an incredibly sophisticated set of systems. Actually, not one system. It's multiple systems that work together to create this incredibly sophisticated system. Wait, hold on. I need to stop talking for a second while the connection stabilizes again, because we seem to be dropping frames. So I'm just gonna I think we are good now. I think we should be good now. Okay, so the point is, man pages tend to be very, very long because there's a lot of explanation there. And that's good if you are looking for, a long explanation and looking to study the entire tool and all of that stuff. But often people are looking for just short examples on how to do things. So, what a community of volunteers decided was that, okay, we can create this sort of database containing containing markdown pages, one page per tool, I'm assuming. So yeah, we can create this sort of database containing markdown pages or pages written in markdown, and we can have one page for each tool, and the community can contribute, their own pages for various other tools. And that's basically how TLDR now exists. You have this massive community of volunteers that are contributing these various pages. In fact, not just in one language. There's man pages in multiple languages, and there's not even man pages. They're TLDR pages basically. So there's TLDR pages in multiple languages for multiple platforms. So on multiple platforms, you have different types of tools, right? Like Windows might have its own set of tools. Linux definitely has its own set of tools. I'm pretty sure Mac OS has its own set of tools. So like they have like man pages for or TLDR pages for many different tools. There's like I was having a conversation with Gemini about this yesterday, and I think it mentioned there's like 7,000 plus TLDR pages, and it's basically just like, okay, for example, I can show it to you right now. This So this is what TLDR does. This is a page that has been written by maybe one or more people, and this is the TLDR for ls. It gives you a bunch of the commonly used forms of this command. So, ls with this parameter, ls with that parameter. It mentions what each parameter or set of parameters does, what behavior each set is going to give you. And these are some of the most commonly used ones. So if you're ever new to a certain tool and you're looking for, a fixed set of like parameters or commands that you can, or a fixed set of arguments that you can give to a specific command, you can use the TLDR page. Now, TLDR itself is the database. It contains the TLDR pages for each of the for various tools. Then to use that database, a bunch of different clients have been written in different languages, and Rust is one of them. So this is where TLDR comes in. TLDR as in wait, yeah, teal deer as in teal the color and deer. So this is a Rust based client for it's a Rust based implementation of TLDR, which is the database. They called it TLDR because, well, sounds like TLDR. So and that's also why the command itself for it is TLDR. Yeah. So I was exploring this yesterday, and the crazy thing is, and this is kind of why I'm glad that I explored television. And I'm surprised at the various tools. This makes me think that I need to, and I'm going to, but this makes me think that I need to start making videos about the various tools that I use, because dude, so many of the tools I just happened to discover them because I was looking in different places for different things. There's so many tools that I discovered without even looking for those specific tools. When I was looking for fuzzy finders, actually, I wasn't specifically looking for fuzzy finders, to be fair. When I first looked for fuzzy finders, Uh, the most the most widely used one, which is FZF. That's what popped up, so that's what I was looking for. But my point still stands. I've found a bunch of these different tools by just just by exploring other things. There's been so many of these tools that I came across only because Ratatouille showcased them. Because Ratatouille, the TUI framework in Rust, they have a showcase page where they showcase various projects that are using Ratatouille, and a bunch of these widely used tools are on there as well because they are using Ratatouille. And then I came across television in that, and I was like, "Yo, this name sounds interesting. Television in the terminal, like what's going on here?" And then I looked it up, and initially, I'm gonna be honest, initially I didn't fully realize the potential of it. I didn't fully see the value in it, and one of the reasons was because I didn't fully understand what was going on. Because television by itself is not gonna be the most useful. I'm just gonna say it that way. Television by itself provides a sort of interface for fuzzy finding, but internally it uses a bunch of different tools to accomplish the fuzzy finding. Now, television itself has like there's I'm pretty sure there's very sophisticated logic going on in television. However, television requires a bunch of other tools in order to be able to do its work properly. So if it needs to find text within files, it needs to use RG or ripgrep, which is it's a Rust-based implementation of the grep tool, and it has a bunch of very interesting features in it. And if we want to, let's say, display the contents of a file within television itself, so like if you're as you like in the list. Actually, why am I doing this? Let me just open up TV here. Yeah. So this is our. Wait, do I have any like sensitive data here? I don't remember. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we're good. So yeah, okay. You can see the file preview on the right side, right? And I can see a bunch of data in this file. This is only possible because of the bat tool. So I need to have bat installed. If I don't have bat installed, then this is not going to work. And there's going to be an error saying that it couldn't find bat. Initially, I was kind of confused when I would see that message. But then I looked it up, and then I think I just figured it out by myself, or maybe Gemini told me that I need this, or what, I don't remember. And then currently we are in files, right? I can switch to the text channel. By the way, this is the list of channels in TV. And the great thing about this is that if you look in the bottom right of this window that has just popped up, there's a small section that says requirements. So this mentions what all tools are required, which tools you need in order to be able to use this channel successfully. So if I go to text, for example, it mentions it requires RG and BAT. RG, which is rip grep, is for grepping. It's for searching for the text, and BAT is for actually displaying the the contents of the file. So if we don't have that, then the tool is not the channel is not going to function properly. And also, this is where I found TLDR. Yesterday, I was browsing through these channels and I noticed TLDR. And at the time, so now it says requirements okay, because I installed TLDR. But yesterday it wasn't installed, and so when I noticed it in the description, it said browse and preview TLDR help pages for command line tools. That's when I was like, okay, let me look this up and see what this is all about. And that's when I discovered this fucking treasure trove of information. Like this is crazy, dude. Okay, by the way, this is great because the fact that there's a TLDR channel means you can go through the entire archive of if you look at the number on top where it says TLDR, it says 1 out of 6,780. So there's 6,780 entries in here that I can just look at. So for example, there's I can even search for tools. So for example, I can search for cargo, and it shows me the entire list. There's cargo, cargo add, deb, doc, run, and like a bunch. It goes on. For each of them, it shows me TLDR pages. If I want to look up, let's say, I don't know, Python, there's something for that as well. I don't even have the Go toolchain installed, at least not to my knowledge, but I can look that up as well, and it'll give me a bunch of useful stuff for that as well. I currently use Git UI. That somebody has also made, what do you call it? Somebody has also made an entry for that. And this is, dude, this is great because if you ever want to update your TLDR thing, you just do TLDR update, and it downloads the entire thing. The entire thing. Okay, so there's like what, close to 7,000 pages, but like in total, it's only like the entirety of the all of the pages. They're only going to be like less than 100 MB. In fact, Gemini was telling me that it might be anywhere between 20 to 50 MB, which is not really that bad. So like even if I have to update it, over and over again, which I highly doubt I'm going to have to do that. I actually have an idea for an entry that I might want to contribute. I'm going to do that soon. I just need to look at their contribution instructions, like what steps I need to follow, what standard needs to be maintained by my specific entry, what format I need to follow, and all of that. And yeah. Once I learn that, then I am definitely going to be contributing something to this. And dude, this is amazing because like basically it's just markdown pages. It's a whole massive database of markdown pages that gets downloaded, and each markdown page is named after the tool that the entry is for. And so it makes it super easy for tools like TLDR, for example, to just index the page and then go through, or index the index the group of pages that belong to, that contain information relevant to that specific entry, and then search through that data. In fact, I don't even think it needs to search. Yeah, now that I think about it, I don't think it needs to search. Oh, wait, it doesn't need to search. It would need to parse the data though. Though I don't think parsing is going to be that slow. I'm sure there's some fast logic for that as well. TLDR is it's a Rust-based tool, by the way, so I I can expect it to be incredibly fast, and you can see here it is fast. In fact, hold on, I am so I have two options here. If I want to use TLDR or TLDR, um, I have I have two options. One, use it through TV if I'm trying to find, if I need a search functionality, then I can use it through TV. Or if I know the specific tool that I'm looking for, so let's say FFmpeg, though I'm not sure how you would easily simplify FFmpeg because it's a very, very complex tool, but I'm sure there's like, the simplest stuff like, oh, this is a good example. Extract the sound from a video and save it as MP3. There you go. That's a great example. Then there's transcode a FLAC file to Redbook CD format. Another great example. And if you if you want, then you can pipe this into something like BAT. However, that does get rid of some of the coloring that has been done here. There might be a way to maintain. I'm pretty sure BAT. Oh, by the way, there's a thing for BAT as well. There's a entry for BAT as well. Actually, does this mention it? Pretty print the contents of one or more files, concatenate several files into the target file. Okay. Remove decorations and disable paging. Highlight a specific line. I didn't know that was a thing. Okay. Show non-printable characters like space, tab, or new line. Remove all decorations except line numbers in the output. Syntax highlight a JSON file by that is okay. That is true. Um, Usually the coloring is done based on syntax highlighting. However, I'm sure BAT probably has a thing which makes it so um, it would, though I guess that depends on whether TLDR BAT is sending out just the text or if it's sending out text with ANSI escape codes for changing the color. Let me hold on. Okay, I'm using TLDR Rust, and I wanna pipe the output to BAT. However, no, it works. However, um, when, however, TLDR has, TLDR does a bit of um, coloring of the text, and that coloring gets stripped away when BAT is displaying the text. Is there a way to prevent that? Okay, it's a classic case of helpful software being a bit too smart for its own good. Most CLI tools, including the Rust implementation of TLDR, check if their output is going to a TTY. Oh, TLDR itself is doing this. So when TLDR notices that, oh, it's doing the same thing that that BAT does. When BAT realizes that it's sending its output to another program or to a pipe and not just a standard out, then it strips away all the decoration that would have been there, any aesthetic stuff that's there, that gets stripped away, borders, line numbers, colors, all that gets stripped away, and only the text is sent. So it seems like TLDR might be doing that as well. Okay, if they see a pipe, they strip the ANSI color codes to avoid polluting the data. That's good. Yeah. Most of the time that is actually what I want. Most of the time, at least, okay, in the case, well, okay, I guess it depends. It depends on what I'm doing, but like a lot of the times that is what I've wanted. Okay, since BAT is perfectly capable of rendering those colors, you just need to force TLDR to keep them and tell BAT to get out of the way. The solution: force colors and pass through. You can fix this by using the color flag for TLDR and the P flag, which is plain flag for BAT. If you want to avoid BAT adding its own, oh, so plain in BAT means that it's not going to add its own formatting, but it's going to keep the formatting as it is, if there is any formatting. Okay, let's try that. So TLDR, um, BAT, I guess. Plain, no, no. What is this? Colors. And then BAT, plain. Uh, oh, the flag comes before. Okay. Oh, was that not the issue? I guess that wasn't the issue. Um, Actually, that might still be the issue. But yeah, it needs colors always, and I guess that thing was still the issue. What is going on, dude? Okay, unexpected argument colors. I feel so silly. It's color. Okay, now does the thing. Okay, yeah. So the uh the order is not an issue there. But yeah, this is now now we have the output in being displayed in bat. Okay, cool. So um where was I? I was talking about TLDR, television. Yeah, I mean, I've been busy with this. Oh, another thing I was busy with yesterday because I wanted to continue working on the content pipeline, and definitely an important part of the content pipeline is the YouTube upload script. Now, the crazy thing is, so I found the YouTube upload script that they provided. Google has provided API and even an SDK, a Python SDK for their API. They provided a Google API Python client. That's what it's called, I think, or Google Python API client. No, I think it's Google API Python client. Whatever. It's a Python client for the Google API, and this client allows you to do various Google API things through that Python interface, which is great. One of those things is uploading a video, and there's two methods that are supported. One is just beginning the upload and let the entire thing complete, which is kind of risky if you're uploading a big video, so like 1 or 2 GB worth. Um, what was I saying? Yeah, it provides two ways. One is just begin the upload, and another is a resumable upload. So just a simple upload is, it might be fine for small videos, but it's still risky because if you have a small hiccup in your connection, the entire thing could crash, and then you'll have to restart the entire upload. Instead, if you do the resumable upload, it uploads the the video in chunks. It handles the entire logic of like chunking up the entire video. You just need to add in the logic to actually, push the chunks and also handle errors and stuff. And this, so the great thing is YouTube did provide this sample of a good way to set up an upload script. The issue is that sample is incredibly old. And when I say old, I mean Python 2 old. We are currently on Python 3. Uh, let's say 14, 3.14. Basically, we are currently on Python 3. Python 2 is not a thing anymore. It is considered way past even being legacy at this point. Python 2 is incredibly old, and what they provided was code that was meant for Python 2. So a lot of like the libraries that were being used, the way that the way that the functions, the way that the API was organized in the libraries and all, even library names like different packages, stuff like the OAuth package, for example, a bunch of the stuff was outdated. So when I followed their instructions to only install, Google API Python client package from PyPy, I installed that and I copy pasted their code, and there was like a bunch of errors in there. So then I had to feed that entire script into Gemini and ask it what's going on, what is wrong. The great thing is I hadn't even given Gemini any of the errors that I was getting, and Gemini already detected that, oh yeah, this is a problem, that is a problem, that is a problem. There were many, let's just say, outdated things in there. So Gemini kind of fixed up the script, and so one of the things that I was concerned about was this thing where the script was asking you to, or it was expecting you to populate a client secrets.json file, or a client, let's say, settings.json file. And within that JSON file, you would have, of course, JSON data containing various client related information like client ID, um, and a bunch of other things, but like most importantly, client secret. Client secret is your token for this specific OAuth flow that they are using. Client secret is your token. You don't want to leak this because anyone who's able to use this, anyone who has access to this token and your client ID can then make API requests on your behalf, and that's kind of like hacking your account essentially. So what was I saying? Yeah, so there's security risks there. You don't want your token getting leaked. And that's why I was kind of concerned, because you see how I'm so comfortably able to just do something like this. Was it file or files? Files. You see how I'm just able to comfortably do this. The reason I'm comfortable with doing this is because I'm fully expecting myself to not have put any sort of tokens into a file for reading later on. And even if I did do such a thing in the past, generally I would either store it in binary format, or I would encrypt the thing. So even if it did accidentally get indexed by some tool and it got read and the information was just plastered um, on the screen, you wouldn't be able to make much out of it. The problem with the script, the YouTube upload script, was that they were expecting a file, and I didn't know anything about the API to be able to customize that behavior. So I explained to Gemini that, see, what I'm planning on doing is, I know that there's a keyring service within Linux OSs, within Windows, pretty sure within Mac OS as well. There's a keyring service, which is essentially an we can call it an OS level vault in which you can store credentials. So at the very least, it's not at the very least, you're not going to be storing your credentials in in a file. You're going to be storing it in that vault, and then you're going to be using some sort of library to access that vault. Depending on which language you are using, there's different libraries that allow you to connect with that service and retrieve or even store keys in within the database. So that was my idea. I can write a separate script in which I'm actually storing the data, and then the main YouTube upload script, it can just keep reading from that key each time, and this way I could comfortably upload this entire script to YouTube as well. No, not YouTube, to GitHub as well, and I don't need to worry about tokens being stolen or anything like that. Well, Gemini gave me a nice updated version after explaining what's going on, what is the problem, why the errors were popping up and stuff. Gemini gave a nice updated version of the script, and it was at that point that I actually took a look at the script properly, because prior to that I just been like scrolling past it and um, just just kind of glancing over different details here and there. I hadn't fully understood it, but then yesterday when I took a look at the Google API, Google API, what do I even call it? The Google API itself, and then I took a look at the YouTube upload script and tried to understand what's going on there. That's when I saw that, okay, this is more or less what the script is doing is more or less um, packaging a bunch of the information, which is like all the metadata. Like, oh wait, we are dropping frames. Hold on. Actually, while this stabilizes, I will hydrate. Um, yeah, I'm just gonna try and reduce the load on the connection. Yeah, give me a couple of seconds. Let me hydrate, and hopefully, after that, in the meantime, the connection should stabilize. Okay. Yeah, I think we should be good now. Right. So, essentially, what the script is doing is it is first of all, it's performing authentic, uh, the authentication thing, the whole authentication flow. And this time, instead of reading from a JSON file, it's reading from the vault, and it's using a slightly different workflow. I need to do research on like the different uh, on the different auth flows, because the only reason I know about these different auth flows is because I came across this when I was trying to do things from scratch with the Twitch API. And this is one of the reasons why I'm glad that I took the time to try and do stuff from scratch with the Twitch API, because the idea wasn't to implement all the functionality, uh, from scratch. The idea was to learn what exactly is happening behind the scenes. And then later on, once I've understood what's going on behind the scenes and how the communication is taking place, what exactly am I receiving, what am I sending, what am I, how I'm supposed to be processing this data and all. After understanding all of that, I decided to use TwitchLib, which is a complete or mostly complete implementation of the entire Twitch API in a C Sharp library. This was back when I was using C Sharp a lot more. Now I'm not doing that. Now I am instead, um, anytime I need something Twitch API related, I'm going to be using either a Python library or a Rust library. And there are implementations of the Twitch API in both languages. So that's some good news for me. Um, I don't know if I'm going to be using the Python side nearly as much though. I guess it depends on what I'm trying to do, to be honest. Yeah, yeah. Because the great thing about Python is that it has a very concise it's a very concise language, and so anything that you're trying to do, you can do it with like a minimal amount of code. There's quite a lot of things that's already implemented for you, and a lot of um what was I trying to say? There's a lot of things that have already been implemented for you, and a lot of the stuff that you are trying to do, it can be done with a minimal amount of code because of how concise the language is. Juxtapose that with Rust, it is very, very verbose. And there's also the fact that you have to, comply with the memory safety rules and all of that stuff. So whatever you're trying to do, you're going to have to do it within those bounds. That does result in a more stable and, depending on how you go about it, more performant application. But if that's not really what you care about, If you just want to have something running, like if performance is not that big of an issue for you, you don't mind like a tiny bit of lag, uh, or if performance is just not something that is that much of an issue on your end, then you can just stick with Python because you'll be able to make things so much quicker. To be fair, I haven't tried making things in either Python or Rust, Twitch related things in Python or Rust. So I haven't used either of the libraries. Um, so I can't say that for sure. But based on my knowledge and experience in both of these languages, I would say that one is going to be slightly easier than the other. But the one that's not going to be the easiest, it's going to be the most performant. And so you should go for that one if you really give a shit about performance. But if you don't, then and you wouldn't give a shit about performance if it wasn't an application that was like constantly running, that required incredibly fast response times, that didn't have like a massive volume of data it was dealing with. In all of these situations, you're not really gonna give a shit about performance. So like it really depends on what you are trying to accomplish. Anyways, I'm just going in circles with this. Um, what was I? Oh yeah. So the only reason I know about the various like authentication or the various OAuth workflows, and this might not even be all of them. I think there might be like some that I don't know about, but three of them that I did learn about. However, I didn't get a chance to completely explore them or implement them myself. Three of them that I know Twitch uses are, I forgot their names, dude. Hold on. Hold on. I forgot their names. Because I remember one was called Device Flow, and that's all I remember. Hold on. There are three of them. Hold on. I'm gonna look this up. Twitch API auth. Getting OAuth access tokens. All right. There's the implicit grant flow. There's a credential. There's a client credentials grant flow, authorization code grant flow, and device code grant flow. So I believe I was using implicit grant flow for I was using the implicit grant flow for TwitchLib. So it mentions in the description for each of these, it says that implicit grant flow is for if your app does not use a server. For example, use this flow if your app is a client-side JavaScript app or mobile app. So in my case, it was a client-side app that didn't have a workflow didn't have a server. Sorry, what am I saying? That didn't have a server that it was connecting to. The client itself was directly connecting to the Twitch API servers. There are plenty of other more sophisticated systems where you have the client connecting to one of your servers, and then your server is talking to Twitch's servers. So the client doesn't directly talk to the server. And in that case, generally you use a different kind of thing, which that goes to the next, actually the next two grant flows. So client credentials grant flow is if your app uses a server, can securely store a client secret, and can make server to server requests to the Twitch API. This flow is meant for apps that only need an app access token. And then you have the authorization code grant flow. Use this flow if your app uses a server, can securely store a client secret, and can make server to server requests to the Twitch API. This is the same as the previous one. However, the difference between the two is this one returns a user access token and the previous one returns an app access token. And also the implicit grant flow also returns a user access token. In my case, I do remember that what I needed was a user access token, not an app access token, because the type of token also kind of determines what you are able to do and how you are going to go about doing things. Also, how often you need to refresh the token. Yeah. Finally, we have the device code GrantFlow. It says use this if your app is run on a client with limited input capabilities, such as set-top boxes or video games. I believe when Twitch had created, I don't know if they completely abandoned this project or if it's still in development, but at some point, Twitch had started working on Unity and Unreal plugins for Twitch. So I forgot what they were calling it, the Unity Twitch SDK or something like that. Let me look that up. Hold on. It was called Game Engine Plugins. Yeah, it was called Game Engine Plugins. And dude, I made the mistake of immediately jumping on this, and more importantly, immediately jumping on this and trying to put it into prod, as in into my VTuber app directly, even though this was a completely like new plugin. They had just released it, and there were a lot of things that needed to be improved, and there was barely any support for this. Like the devs on it were active initially and to a certain extent, but then I don't know what happened with this plugin. I don't know because I don't use Unity anymore. I've never used Unreal. So I don't really, I'm not connected with any of this anymore. So any sort of Twitch API stuff that I want to do, it's usually going to be through the other languages. And well, in my case, I probably won't need to do that because, like, well, okay, that sounds confusing. That I probably won't need to. In my case, I won't need to use either of these libraries because, for example, if I'm doing something in Godot, right, and I'm doing Rust with Godot, I could just use one of the Twitch API libraries that are written in Rust, and then I'll be able to, bring in that functionality. With TwitchLib, there was a bit of a complication. I don't fully understand what was causing it, but I had to just like chalk it down to, okay, there's sophisticated words. There's sophisticated systems at work here, and they're not able to play well together because I feel like, okay, so the thing is, TwitchLib, it was it was it was just the library, and generally you would be using it with something that's either a console app or maybe even a forms kind of, a WinForms kind of application. But it's like it's meant for like if you're making your separate standalone application through like the .NET CLI. It's not meant to plug directly into Twitch, or at least it wasn't, not Twitch. No, it's not meant to plug directly into a Unity project. If you try to plug it directly into a Unity project, there's going to be a bunch of errors popping up. And somebody did make an effort to try and make the library uh, Unity compatible, and it worked to a certain extent, but then that broke as well, from what I remember. And there wasn't a whole lot of like work being done on that front. So I didn't use that like at all. That was actually why I decided to write my own Twitch middleware app, and I came up with like my own sort of infrastructure in which there's a console app that is using TwitchLib. It's a C# console app that's using TwitchLib, and it is connected with the VTuber app. So anytime there's a specific message that I know that the VTuber app would be using, I pipe the message over across, like using sockets. So that's how I'd set up that whole mechanism. And what I was hoping for was that, um, this game engines SDK, game engine plugins thing was going to help, but I feel like they kind of abandoned it at one point. And um, I think a couple months later, or maybe a year later, I don't remember. The news came out that a whole bunch of people had been laid off from Twitch, and at that point, I was like, dude, now I have no idea if anyone is working on this at all, or if this thing is just completely abandoned because there was like no communication surrounding it. So I don't know if it's still being worked on or like what is the situation. Let me see if there's like a change log for this. There was actually a change log. Um, yeah, let's take a look at the change log. The last release version is from June 2024. Yeah, uh, that's that's about it. So yeah, that's why I decided not to use the game engine plugins SDK that Twitch had made. However, for the short period of time that I did use it, the short period of time that I did explore it, um, that was the one situation where I believe I was using a device code grant workflow. Because what that did is it opened up, so like when it needed authentication, it would automatically open up, um, a window where it would give me a code, and then I would enter that code into something. I don't remember if I was entering that on the browser side or on the Unity side. Maybe it was on the Unity side. I can't remember exactly, but I had to enter that code somewhere. And then that code was being stored somewhere, which I'm assuming is maybe in the browser cookies. I'm not sure. Um, oh, I didn't have to enter the code. The code, I think I was accepting the code, or maybe I was entering the code. I can't remember exactly. But the point is, I wasn't dealing with tokens there. That's the main point. I was dealing with a code. The code, it would be given to me, and then either I clicked a button and then it got stored somewhere, or I had to enter that code into a different window on the Unity side, and then that got stored somewhere. It was one of the two. I can't remember what it was, but it was definitely not um, the the workflow that I was using for implicit code grant flow. Because with the implicit code grant flow, what is the thing called exactly? Implicit grant flow. With implicit grant flow, what I was doing is I would form this entire URL containing the request, and that included a bunch of the scopes that you required because different API endpoints require different scopes. The scopes are basically like permissions to do this or do that or do that or do that. You can't like this is a way to maintain security when you're doing things through the API. You don't want to just give permission to do everything uh, in one scope. So the different API endpoints, they often require different scopes. So something might be able to, I don't know, edit your clips, or well, I'm trying to give examples, but like something might be able to. One good example is um, something might be able to. I don't know what's a good example to give here. You know what? Yeah. So um, banning, so moderation related API endpoints, they have their own scope, and changing the Twitch live stream information, so the title or the category or whatever, that might have its own separate endpoint. Actually, that does have its own separate endpoint, but they both will have different scopes. They won't have the exact same scopes. And just because somebody has the permission to do one thing, you don't want them to be able to do the other thing as well. Um, I'm trying to give a good example of why you would need to use scopes. But like the best thing that I can think of is like it maintains isolation, that okay, so and so token is only able to take so and so actions, and so whoever is using it is limited to just those specific actions. They can't perform every single thing that the Twitch API allows, or it can't they can't perform, all of the various things that all of the various things that have been implemented in the Twitch API endpoints. Okay. Anyways, so I need to go back and learn about these. I think at this point, it's better if I just ask Gemini about this. Uh, just ask Gemini to teach me about the different flows that exist, because I know about these four flows which are from the Twitch side. But like how things work on the Google API side, I don't know. There was one more thing I was going to talk about. Oh yeah, I didn't finish telling about like the implicit grant flow. So once I've crafted the entire URL, I visit that URL in my browser, and that then the first time that I do that, if this is the very first time that I'm doing that, and I've never done it before, at least on this specific client ID or whatever, then the browser is going to ask me, or in fact Twitch itself is going to ask me if I want to grant this client the authorization to take actions on my behalf. Client generally in this case, it's like, okay, when you are using the Twitch API, and this is true at least for implicit grant flow. I don't know how it works for the other three, but for implicit grant flow, it works in this way. Generally, what you do is you go into your Twitch developer console and you have to register an app. It's all free. There's no payment required for any of that stuff. But you have to create an app. You have to like you have to basically register a app. And once you have registered this app, Twitch is going to give you a client ID that represents that application. And further from that point, any API requests that you're making, you have to make it through a certain client ID, and this is the client ID. So you have to pass in this client ID along with the scopes, and maybe there's a couple of other bits of information that are required. You pass that in, and then once you have authorized the application, because the first time Twitch is going to ask you if you want to authorize this application to take so and so actions on your behalf, and so over here is basically the scopes that you have permitted, the scopes that you have mentioned, the scopes that you have included within within your request. And once you authorize it, it it returns. So it doesn't return to a page. It shows you a blank page, or like a page that the browser cannot load. However, in the URL of that not well loaded page, in the URL you'll find the token that you require. So you need to copy that token and paste it into your code, or paste it, but save it somewhere. So anytime you make future requests, future API requests, you have to pass in your client ID and your auth token. This is basically how you do the authentication to communicate with the Twitch API. Now I need to see how I should go about doing this with the Google API. And it's also interesting because the multiple times that I asked various other developers how they would go about doing this, because like this was a bit of a tedious process, right? It seems like a very odd way to get the token. Like I have to pull the token out from a returned URL. I have to then copy that and paste it somewhere. And on Twitch, back then when I rated a couple of other people who were doing stuff using the Twitch API, um, I asked them, I explained to them that this is what I do. Is there a better way? They were like, no, this is how you have to do it. And I was like, holy shit, dude, that's crazy. I mean, I could have, like, maybe there is a way to like um, write something JavaScript related, or maybe something WebAssembly related, that could read the URL and split out the OAuth token and then write to a file on the system. But like at the time, I didn't think of any of this stuff. And also, it's not the most straightforward thing to do because I don't do JavaScript. I've done JavaScript in the past, but just like barely scratching the surface. I would comfortably tell you that I don't know jack shit about JavaScript. I can do JavaScript to a very, very limited extent, but I don't know jack shit about JavaScript. So anything that I'm doing, it's going to have to be based in some other language. Even if I'm doing like a WebAssembly module, it would have to be um, that WebAssembly module is going to be loaded through JavaScript. So I would then have to get something like Gemini to generate the JavaScript, uh, what they call glue code. I would have to get Gemini to generate the JavaScript for that glue code that would then be loading this WASM module. Okay, anyways, I need to do research on the OAuth stuff. And today, I was... Okay, we can close this. Um, Today I was hoping to just kind of revisit the, what do you call it? The content pipeline, because the upload script is going to be a part of the content pipeline. It's going to be a part of the content pipeline unless I want to... Actually, no. I mean, how am I going to... Yeah, no, I'm not sure. Because okay, there's two ways that I can go about this. Okay, so here's my problem. It's not just the video that I have to upload. It's also the metadata, and the metadata I'm getting the title from something that I've written myself. Because like I'm saving each of these titles that I set for my VODs. I save them in a file, and the idea is that eventually it's going to be a JSON file where there's key value pairs. The key is the file name, and the value is going to be the title for that VOD, the actual title for that VOD, not the file name. What was I saying? Yeah. So the title is going to be, it's fine, right? But it's not just the title that's part of the metadata. There's the description, the category, the the keywords, which are the video tags, and within the description, I also want to include hashtags. And the thing is, I want to generate within the description, aside from the the boilerplate text that I put in there anyways, which is like, socials and stuff like that at the bottom. Aside from that, I also want to include a summary of the entire VOD. That summary, I'm going to be using NLP and probably an LLM as well to generate that summary. So the description is going to be, it's going to be generated. Then I'm also going to be generating a list of relevant keywords, which are the video tags, and I'm also going to be generating like 4 or 5 hashtags, which I'm going to put into the video description, because hashtags go in the description. Keywords or video tags go into the tags section. Now, all of these things have to be generated. They have to be there's a certain amount of like processing required in order to um, create this data. It doesn't exist from before, just like how I have the VOD title, which exists from before. The other stuff doesn't exist. It's going to be generated based on what the transcript is like, based on what the transcript of the video is like. Okay, now that's my issue, that I need this data to be set in the video. And there's 2 ways that I can go about this that I can think of, which I still don't know if the second way is fully possible or not. The first way is I first generate all of this data, and once all of the data has been generated, then I try to upload the video. I don't try to upload the video before any of this data has been generated, because if I upload the video after the data has been generated, I then have the data, so I can pass it along with the upload, right? And then the entire upload is done in one go. Great, awesome. That's the most simplest method. However, that will mean that the VOD won't be uploaded until I've had a chance to process all of the data. So that's going to be one issue. It's not going to be that big of an issue if I manage to, do all of the processing in time. But yeah, that's one of the issues there. So that's the first method, right? I finish the processing of the transcript. Based on the transcript, I generate all of the VOD metadata, all of the upload metadata, and attach that along with the upload while I'm uploading the video to YouTube. That would be a nice simple method. The second method is I upload the VOD along with the title. However, I don't upload the actual metadata at that time, like at the time of upload. I don't upload the actual metadata at the time of upload. I only upload the metadata after the upload is complete, so like much later. And this can get a little bit complicated, because what this means is that I am going to need to store the video link locally, so that I have something to connect this metadata to. So like internally, I can like store this data in a file and be like, okay, this is a video that needs to be accessed, or this is the video that needs to be updated via the script. So these are 2 methods that I can use. The second method, it is a bit convoluted. The first method would be very straightforward, a very linear process. It would be much simpler to keep track of as well. The second method would get a little bit convoluted, and it might be error prone as well. I also don't know if it's possible to update video metadata using, hold on. Actually, let me open up a Gemini instance here. Hey, so I'm working on a YouTube upload script using the Google API Python client. So I'm aware that there is the ability to upload a video using the SDK, but what if I want to upload the video today, but I won't have I won't have certain metadata like the description and tags until 2 days later. And so I want to be able to update and upload it video. How do I go about doing that? Okay, it's a smart move to separate the heavy lifting, which is the video upload, from the metadata polish. Since video files are massive and processing takes time, getting the bytes onto the server early is a great way to streamline your workflow. To achieve this using the Google API Python client, you'll transition from the videos insert method to which is used for uploads to the videos update method. The strategy, upload as private first. When you upload the video today, you should set its status to private. This ensures it stays hidden while you wait for your metadata. Okay. Important note, when you eventually call the update method, YouTube requires you to send the entire snippet object if you want to change any part of it. If you only send the new description, other fields like the title or category ID might be wiped or reset to defaults depending on the API version. Always fetch the current metadata first or store it locally. Right, the Python implementation. Here's how you can get a specific video by its ID and update the metadata later. Okay, all right. So we generate the request body. Okay, we create a YouTube object, essentially our client, where we specify YouTube version and then the API key. Right, then we have the request body, which contains all of the data that we want for the video. And then we call the update method. Okay, but how does it know which video? It says video ID here. How do I get the video ID? Okay, key consideration for your script. The video ID, you must save the ID returned by the initial up. That's what I was wondering. Okay. You must save the ID returned by the initial upload response. Without that ID, you can't tell the API which video to modify. Then the part parameter. Part parameter. Hold on. Let me part snippet snippet comma status. Why did I get stuck on that? Snippet comma status. Okay, so the part parameter, this is the most common place where devs trip up. If you want to update the description, you must include snippet in the part string. If you want to change it from private to public, you must include status. Oh, okay. All right. Then quota costs. Uploading costs around 1600 units. Updating costs 50 units. And listing costs 1 unit. If you need to fetch existing metadata before updating. All right. You know what? This changes things a little bit. This definitely changes things a little bit. Yep. This changes things. So, okay, I'm going to be honest here. I'm still leaning towards the first method, which is I generate the metadata first and then upload the video, because it's going to be a lot more simpler. Because with the second method, I have to then keep track of the video ID, which is not it's not really an issue because I already have, like, if you look here, um, for each bundle, how do I show this? I had like a temp thing, right? So for each bundle, um, I have metadata. So we have the transcript, that's its own separate JSON file, and then we have the VOD metadata, and in that I'm going to be storing a bunch of what I consider relevant information. So there's title, description, hashtags, which are going to be part of the description later on, keywords, which are going to be the video tags, then the category, which I don't think is going to change all that much, but I do want to give the LLM a list of categories to choose from and like have it give a high score to. I'll basically just use zero shot classification for this. So I'll give it a list of labels and I'll tell it, okay, which one do you think uh, this this transcript belongs to most? Or I wonder if there's a better way to achieve this. I don't know if I'll get the best result. Yeah, I actually don't know if I'm gonna get the best result from doing what I'm planning on doing, but I guess that'll depend on how zero shot classification actually works. So there's probably a bit of research to do there because I wonder if it would be better for me to try and extract topics from the entire transcript and then um, use some sort of method, which I have no idea what I'm going to use, but like use some sort of method to then, classify this into, because at that point, like it could also be something as simple as, I don't know, a feed forward neural network that classifies a bunch of text into just, a set of labels. But the problem is with the feed forward neural network, there's a limitation of like, how you are dealing with the data. Um, so like with a feed forward neural network, you're usually um, dealing with like a flat representation of the entire data. And depending on how big your data is, each layer is probably going to have that many neurons. So like, I don't know if it's the best idea. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's the best idea. Um, that being said, I mean, I probably shouldn't try to make a model for this. I should probably try to use existing pre-trained models. So I need to have a conversation with Gemini about exactly what kind of model I could use for this purpose. But yeah, okay. The Back to what I was talking about here. Category and then uploaded, true or false. So maybe I can add two extra fields here. Um, so we can have uploaded and then we can have updated. So uploaded, maybe I can make it more specific. Um, I can change the flag to video uploaded and metadata updated, just so visually it's more obvious to me anytime if I ever look at the JSON file. But yeah, the point that I was trying to make is that at some point during the workflow, at some point within this pipeline, there's going to be at some point within this pipeline there's going to be bundles generated for each of these VODs, and these bundles are going to contain various types of metadata. And no, sorry, the bundles are going to contain the video, the audio, the metadata file, and the transcript. Within the metadata file, there's a bunch of useful information which I can work with when I'm, I don't know, in this case, when I'm doing the upload. So when there is an upload happening, I can, hmm, how do I go about this? So if this hasn't been uploaded, I would be able to look at the flag and tell that, yeah, this has not been uploaded. And then I can run the upload process. I'm not going to be doing bulk uploads. It's always going to be singular uploads. So it's not a problem to check. Yeah, it's not a problem to check. Though what I could do additionally is also maintain a database of um, yeah, I can maintain a database of VOD uploads. I can write a small Python script which would read these various files and generate a certain generate like a key value pair or just an entire row talking about the upload status. Oh, why am I doing that though? No, no, you know what I could do? I could take this entire actually no, I don't need the entire thing. I was gonna say that I could take this entire well no, I could use the entire thing, to be honest. Yeah, I could. What I could do is I could view this file, like let's say this one. I don't remember what's in my copy buffer right now. No, I think we should be fine. Yeah. So this is a JSON file, right? I don't know how well TabView is going to display it, but okay, this is what I could look at. Are you guys able to see the? I think you're able to see. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're able to see the top, like the column labels, the column names. So you can see title, description, hashtags, keywords, category, and uploaded. Right. What I could do is, because I have an entire. Hold on, let's open that again. Because I'm gonna have like an entire, list of VODs here. What I could do is I could write a separate script that crawls through each of these directories and generates a database, which is going to look like this, basically. So it's going to generate a database of the bundles. Yeah, it's going to generate a database of the bundles, and um, I can just run that to, update my VOD bundles database. I'll have to think of a name for like what this entire collection of data is going to be called. Um, I mean, okay, does it have to be? No, I need to think of so okay, we need to go back to looking at the um the workflow that I had set up. Okay, so here's the workflow that I had set up initially, right? Run batch audio extract on a group of videos to extract audio from each, extract audio for each. This produces a group of audio files. Okay, so this is our audio extraction process. From a group of videos, we get a group of audio files. Great, awesome. Sorry, zoned out. Okay. Um, what was I saying? Yeah, yeah. I was reading this. Right. So then we run batch audio transcribe. So this is going to happen locally. The audio extraction, it can happen locally through FFmpeg. Audio transcribe, most likely it's going to happen. Actually, no, it's definitely going to happen um, through Kaggle for me because I don't have beefy hardware to be able to run these transcription models. Okay, fine, great. Then we have um, batch generate metadata. Oh, this is where we generate the entire metadata for this is where we generate the entire metadata for the what do you call it? Yeah, this is where we generate the entire metadata for each of the VODs. And this entire thing is supposed to be a batch operation as well. Um, Actually, I didn't take that into account because this is going to be a because this is meant to be a batch operation. So I would only be able to do like groups of videos, right? So I could have it be in like, I don't know, if I want to do this really quick, I can have it be in like 3 day increments, like three videos at a time. In fact, that would actually be faster to accomplish as well. Like that would make things a little faster as well. It would increase the amount of moving around that has to be done by me, but I don't mind that bit of extra manual work, as long as I don't mess anything up. I'll need to make very clear instructions for what I need to do. Um, Wait. So metadata is generated. All right. Then we build the bundles out of that metadata. Um, okay. So here is where we get a little bit, here's where things become a little bit tricky. Because my idea initially, when I wasn't thinking of this update idea, my idea initially was, or my initial workflow, now that I'm looking at this, I'm remembering it. My initial workflow, actually, no, update metadata comes later on. No, I need to read this to even remember my initial workflow. So hold on. Batch generate metadata on group of transcript JSON files to generate metadata for each. This produces a group of metadata JSON files. I don't think they've been populated just yet. Okay. Then once the metadata files are generated, at this point, we have 4 files for every single VOD. We have a video file, an audio file, um, a transcript file, and a metadata file. These 4 files make up one bundle. Okay, so then we run batch build bundles. Okay, this is where this groups up the sets of video, audio, transcript, and metadata files by video file name. This produces video bundles for each of the videos, where each bundle contains a video, audio, transcript, and metadata file. Okay, I need to add a separate section here. What was this? Okay, this is general workflow. This is scratch notes. So under scratch notes, I need to add assumptions. VOD files, VOD file names are in the format VOD and then DDMMYY dot MP4. Example. No, not just VOD. It's Twitch. Twitch VOD, DDMM. So, okay, all right. Example, VOD file for, let's give it today's date, 14th of March, 2026, sorry, would be named Twitch VOD 14/03/2026.mp4. This is important. This assumption is very important. This format is very important to follow because this is how I'm going to be extracting data from the file name. And not just because I'm extracting data from the file name, but also for other reasons, the assumption is necessary. A fixed format that I can assume is being followed as necessary. Okay, so after the bundles are built, what we end up with is basically this, what I was showing here. This is what we're going to end up with. This is one bundle, this is another bundle, this is another bundle, and then we move on to batch update metadata. This goes through every video bundle and sets the title field of the bundle's metadata file based on what is specified in the video titles.json file. So that was going to be this kind of file, which just has like the file name as the key and the actual title as the value. So we go through this entire thing, and then in each of the bundles we update the title over there with that value. What I'm thinking is I'll change this data a little bit. I'll change this JSON format a little bit to mention both the key and the value. So the value is going to be the title, but then I'll add an extra thing. So okay, the value is what I'm going to set as this title's value, but then I'll add an extra field here saying file name, and that file name is going to be the key name from the previous thing. So the file name is basically going to be what the actual file name is. So it's something like Twitch, VOD, so and so, so and so. So I'll just store that information as well. Okay. So once we have that, oh, you know what I could do? Since I do have Taboo, I could write a script that basically crawls through all of these. So then that way I don't need to generate a database each time, or well, I don't need to generate and store the database somewhere. I could run the script and pipe the output into Taboo and basically get this kind of an output containing like all of the records for like each bundle that it found. The script is just going to crawl through the entire bundles directory like this. So a video bundles directory, it's gonna crawl through the entire bundles directory and just list out. It's gonna crawl through the entire bundles directory and pull the metadata for each of them, and it's gonna construct like a Polar's data frame and display that data frame. That's all the thing is gonna do. Oh wait, no, it's gonna construct a data frame and then write that data frame as CSV, but then write it to std out, and then I'll pipe that into TW. So the format of calling this Python script would be something like, Python py01.py and then pipe TW. Okay, all right. Then what comes next after that? So this is for updating the titles. So maybe I should change the name of this file to, did I do that already? No, it's still called update metadata. Right, so we update the title. So maybe I'll rename this to batch update metadata title, or title metadata. And then I can have a separate thing for a batch update video metadata. I'll have to think of a better way to go about this whole thing, because the other metadata files are going to be generated. Yeah, I think this was where I got a little bit confused about how I should go about this, because at this point the titles for each of the bundles they've been set, right? And that reflects in the metadata file as well, which is great. but none of the other data has been generated yet. And updating the titles, I can do it locally because it's just reading one file and it's pulling the data from one file and setting it in another file. I can't do that for the rest of the information because the rest of the data has to actually be generated, meaning I have to run the model either locally or in the cloud. I would definitely prefer to run it in the cloud, because I'll be able to do it like as a batch in that case. Yeah. Okay. What was the next point? So this is why I'm like, dude, I need to sit down and think this whole thing through. There was also I was working on ideas for clip generation and highlight generation. I don't remember where I noted down any of that stuff. If I did note down any of that stuff, um, yeah, I did think of something, and that's why I was working on like the logic for the rolling window and all of that. Damn, I've been working on this for a couple of months now. Holy shit, I just realized that. I mean, on and off, to be fair, on and off. And I have made a bunch of good progress. I've also like um reiterated, not just well, I've iterated over this a couple of times, adding a couple of things. Um I need to stop adding things because I feel like if I keep adding things, um I'm going to keep changing the design and I'm going to become a victim of feature creep. And that's going to ruin any chances of this pipeline actually finishing and producing something usable, something useful for me. So currently what I'm thinking of is, okay, we're going to have the upload script, which is also going to be a part of this pipeline. Um, you know what we could do here? We could um, further from this point, like after the update, if we want to go with the video update workflow, further from this point, I could upload the script, but I don't really want to do that, if I'm being honest. I don't want to do that, but my problem is, how do I get the metadata to be generated before um dude, we need to generate the entire metadata before uploading the video. I feel like that's going to be the simplest way, and that's going to allow me to batch generate multiple files, multiple videos. Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's gonna allow me to batch generate the data for multiple videos. Yeah, dude. That's the best way that I can do this. Otherwise I'm gonna run into a bunch of issues. Now I need to sit down and think about this. Definitely need to sit down and think about this. You know what? I think I'm gonna spend today's entire day and like even until I go to sleep eventually much later. I think I'm gonna spend the entire time just thinking out this plan, and I need to finish the plan before I continue working on this because I feel like I'm gonna keep trying to add features to this and end up with a bunch of feature creep, which I don't want. Um, so I'm gonna sit down and write down the entire thing. I think I should create a separate thing here. Um, what is it? This? Yeah. Okay. General. Oh God, what did I just hit? Okay, I accidentally closed. That's crazy. I accidentally closed the tab. Fortunately, it was um, on the other terminal that I'm using via SSH. So you guys are still able to see it. So I can probably just do it here. It's a little small to look at, but I can. Okay, general workflow simplified endpoints. Um, yeah, let's just create a list. Okay, so I'm gonna sit down and first write this because up here is a more detailed version. Actually, let me also mention here detailed, and then this is simplified in points. Okay, all right. Yeah, you know what? That's gonna be it. Oh shit! Holy shit! Why did my wait, Pi, dude? I did not know you were in the chat. My bad. My bad. Um, How long ago? That was half an hour back. Pi, if you're still here, thanks for stopping by. I don't think you're still here. Um, yeah, my bad. Holy shit, dude, my thing just bug out? I think my chat, I was relying on the chat thing. My chat, what do you call it? Browser thing, it bugged out. It didn't show me any chat messages. But yeah, yeah, bye. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I should have had my chat open. The one time that I forget to have my chat open, there's people in the chat. That's crazy. But yeah, that's my bad. Um, what was I? What was I saying? Yeah, I'm gonna. Wait. Oh, holy shit! Wait, Pi, Pi was here like an hour and a half ago, not an hour ago. Not half an hour ago. Okay. Well, yeah, it is what it is. Let's just dude, I can't believe that the thing didn't show me the chat. Anyways, we are gonna okay, I actually okay, I do want to raid someone, but I have to go cook um and eat and then start working on stuff. So I don't think I'm gonna raid anyone today either. I'm just gonna end the stream here. Pi, thank you very much for stopping by. My bad, I wasn't looking at my chat. I trusted this browser source thing to show me the chat messages, which it usually does, but today it didn't. And I was not looking at my phone. I was just yapping away, and so I didn't see the chat. But yeah, thank you very much for stopping by and chatting. Anyone else who might have been lurking in the chat, thanks for hanging out. Um, yeah, that's going to be it for today's stream. I need to sit down and think about uh, this entire the entire workflow of the content pipeline. Um, yeah, yeah. I need to go cook food, and after that, I'll sit down and work on this entire thing, and hopefully I'll start making more progress on this. I don't think I'm going to go with that update method where I upload the video first and then update the video later. I think I'll prepare all of the content for the video, all of the metadata for the video, and then I'll update the entire video uh, later on. What? No, I'll prepare the content, I'll prepare all the metadata for the video, and Once all the metadata is ready, then I'll upload the video along with the entire metadata. Yeah, yeah. That's gonna be it for today's stream. I hope you guys have a nice day, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.